Alright, so the Detroit Lions barely squeaked past the New York Giants, beating them 34-27 in overtime. Lions improved to 7-4. It was a much needed win. They needed to get that win over the Giants, and they somehow, some way found a way to do it in overtime. Mainly thanks to the performance of Jahmyr Gibbs. What an incredible performance from Gibbs. Put this team on his back. 15 carries, 219 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And obviously the game-winning touchdown in overtime. So Lions, they wanted to bounce back following that Eagles loss. Obviously not the way they wanted to do it, but they still got the job done. A win is a win. And this team showed some resilience towards the end of the game. And it was a sloppy win. The offense for the Lions couldn't get things going on a few drives. Lions defense, following what was an incredible performance against the Eagles, was getting absolutely carved up by Jameis Winston in this Giants offense, which Jameis Winston had an incredible game, 366 passing yards. I mean, he was making plays out there. You got to give him a lot of credit. And it was very surprising because the Lions secondary got help back in this game. They've been missing starters for multiple weeks. However, this week they got a boost as DJ Reed and Khalil Dorsey were activated from IR and did return. But this Lions secondary was getting torched. The Giants also had some gadget plays. They had some trick plays in this game, including the first drive they had. And also the Lions pass rush didn't really help out the secondary much in this game either. The pass rush was quiet all game long. And then, of course, Aiden Hutchinson on the last play of the game would go ahead and get the sack, end the game the right way. But other than that, pass rush was quiet. Lions defense definitely was not living up to their potential and what we've seen them play like this season. So let me know your guys' thoughts, takeaways from this game, how you guys are feeling as the Lions got a tough one coming up against the Packers. They do got them at home this time, though, on Thanksgiving. It's going to be a big-time matchup, and thank goodness for Jake Bates. 59-yard field goal, a career long to force overtime. Barely snuck that one through the uprights, but he got it in there. And both Jack Fox and Jake Bates played well in that game for the Lions. And Jared Goff had another struggling game. Went 28 of 42, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. He did get sacked 3 times as well. But Jared Goff the past 2 weeks just hasn't been performing at a high level, and a level the Lions offense needs him to perform at. So hopefully he gets it going. It's going to be a challenge though going up against the Packers defense this Thursday. Also doesn't help though the receivers are dropping the balls. Amon-Ra St. Brown especially, but even so, Amon-Ra St. Brown still had 9 receptions, 149 yards, and a touchdown in this game, and he did have a season high with 149 receiving yards in that game. And obviously Jahmyr Gibbs absolutely went off, and Amon-Ra St. Brown actually called that Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown run in overtime. He said post-game, the craziest thing ever, overtime starting. I told receiver coach, assistant head coach Scotty Montgomery, he said, let's run the ball, trust me, we've just got to run it. And he said, Scotty's like, yeah, I agree, let's do it. And so he told running backs coach Tashard Choice, just run it. And St. Brown said, I don't even know the play at this point. I'm like, Panay, we're going right. Jahmyr's about to score. We're about to score. And then Gibbs said that all he heard was score, and he was like, bet. And the Lions called Gibbs' number, ran a play duo right behind Sewell, and after that, he was gone. So pretty cool right there. Jared Goff said of Gibbs, he's dang good at duo. We were running it behind Panay and Tate Ratledge, and they are really good at that deuce block up to the backer. It's been a good run for us, and that's not the first time he's taken that exact play to the house. And Dan Campbell said post-game, I had a good feeling. I think we all did about Gibbs. He just, you could feel it today. We were blocking him pretty good, and it was a good job, and he finished it. He said he's electric. He's a game changer. Now, I'm going to give credit to that O-line because I think they really dug in today and did a good job. You don't get those knockout runs unless your receivers are blocking as well. But Gibbs, he's electric. And Jahmyr Gibbs lately has been showing why he might be one of, if not the best running back in the NFL right now. Definitely might be the most explosive running back in the NFL. So it is a luxury for the Lions to have him. They also have David Montgomery in there as well, but right now Gibbs has been getting a majority of the carries. But Dan Campbell post-game speaking about this tough overtime win. You know, he said credit to that team. They played hard, threw the kitchen sink at us, but we knew they would. That's what the tape said. But I'm proud of the guys. We hung in there. We fought. You know, it's not easy to hang in a game like that when there's things that aren't going perfect. And when speaking on, you know, the players coming up with some big time plays, he said, I mean, that's our guys. That's the core of our group here. That's why we have the guys that we have, because they are resilient. Even when we're off just a little bit, when we need it most, those guys can resort back to their training, you know, just stay in the moment. And he said, that's our guys. I trust our guys. And even despite the Lions defense not playing well, they still came up with a huge stop on 4th and goal late in the game to keep it a one possession game. That was a huge stop, and again, just goes to show the resilience that this team had in this game. You know, it wasn't looking good, but they found a way, somehow, to come out of that game with a win. You know, it ain't about by how much, it's about how many wins you have at the end of the season. So Dan Campbell also said, though, you never know what these types of wins can do. Sometimes it's just important to remind yourself what we're all capable of. Even when the chips are down and things get hard, you don't ever forget how to dig in one more time and find a way to lean on each other and do your job. And anytime you can get a win like this, it's a good thing. It's a good thing because, you know, that very easily a number of times could have gone the other way, and we all know it, but it didn't, and we made the plays we had to make. So a lot of things to clean up, obviously, but definitely like to come out of those games with a win instead of a loss. So Lions get the win 34-27 in overtime. Wasn't easy, improves to 7-4. It'll be a big time division matchup against the Packers on Thanksgiving this Thursday. Should be a good one. And again, Lions get them at home, trying to get revenge on them from the season opener. But with that, that's going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to go ahead, drop a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more if you are new around here. I greatly appreciate it. And other than that, we will see you guys in the next video.